Hello, welcome back to Mountain Jim Card Collectibles. I hope you're having a great week so far. We've made it midway. Anyway, today I want to talk about an issue that anyone who watches my channel knows I'm always battling. And what is that? The issue of memorabilia being cut up and I like to call it hack and slashed and thrown in cardboard sports cards or whatever. And really, the further down that you begin to dig into all of the relevant information and legalities that surround memorabilia patch cards, really the worse they begin to appear. And I don't mean to come out here, just throwing rotten tomatoes at all patch cards. I don't mean to do that. But the thing about patch cards is legally, there is a gray area when it comes to patch cards. And I feel like the big corporations are really kind of gaming the system so that they can't get sued for issuing patches that aren't necessarily legitimate, honest, or truthful. Anyway, to start us off, I just want to start off with a Panini patch from 2025, and it's for Johnny Furphy. This is his card. This is just off of Amazon, and I just want to read what it says. The enclosed officially licensed material is not associated with any specific player, game, or event. Now, you begin to ask yourself, so why even bother doing this card? It's a rookie card with a piece of cloth in it that honestly, more than likely, isn't even related to Johnny Furphy at all. Okay? So it's pointless. The legalese that they've written to go with it so they don't get sued makes it completely pointless. Like, what are they even doing this for, All right. Well, then you begin to dig into the nuts and bolts of this issue. And first off, the way that patch cards started off in the I should say late 90s, early 2000s, is they were doing them right. To where if you're getting one of these patch cards, you feel comfortable from the information that's on the card that you're getting something legitimate, almost like a certificate of authenticity. So this is a 2004 Upper Deck Rookie Futures Jersey Eli Manning card. I've actually had two of these cards. I've sold them both. Okay. It's a great card. Now, Eli Manning's a big name. And they're not asking a ton of money for this patch card. I mean, this is just a rookie patch card. But the thing about it is what it says on the back. That really, this card, and I've had other, Upper Deck cards as well, patch cards. And they just did a great job of explaining what the deal is behind the card. Like this one says, "Congratulations. You have received an Eli Manning event-worn jersey trading card from the Upper Deck Company, LLC. On the front of this card is an authentic piece of a jersey worn by Eli Manning at the 2004 NFL Players Rookie Premiere photo shoot. We hope you enjoy this piece of football history as we at the Upper Deck Company, LLC continue to keep you as close as you can get." And it has, you can see the, where the president of Upper Deck has signed it. And this is close to a certificate of authenticity. Authenticity or certificates of authenticity aren't necessarily legally binding agreements, but they can be to an extent, okay? So this, to me, is what every patch card really needs to have. And the thing about, these patch cards is really it needs to be an agreement between the player and the president of the company or someone involved with the company. Okay? And yeah, they're doing good, but likely we're not getting that because then it would create a legally binding agreement. So this is how cards really should be done. They had the great idea when they started doing patch cards, Now, can we prove that patch is actually from that thing? I mean, you'd have to dig into it, but more than likely it is, from that photo shoot. Yeah, it's not game worn. Okay. So then we come to our current model of Topps and their patches. And I know that Topps is really making themselves to be this, we are Mr. Perfect, That's Topps. That's what they want you to believe, is that they are Mr. Perfect. But the thing about it is when you start to dig into this situation, is there's a lot of gray areas with these patches and these stickers. So, first off, this is the hologram sticker KV292723 for this card I was checking out today. 2025 Topps Tribute Fernando Tatis Jr. Tribute Patch Auto card out of 25. Number 24 out of 25, okay? And then we come to the back of this card, okay? And they do a great job. The signing of all Topps autographs is witnessed by a Topps representative to guarantee authenticity, okay? So they did that right, You can trust it for the most part. I mean, it's not a true certificate of authenticity. You don't have any signatures on there. So they have lawyers at Topps and these big companies so that they're not creating legally binding agreements, okay? So when you're collecting this stuff, you're crossing your fingers, that, boy, I hope that I'm getting what I'm supposed to be getting. Yeah, I mean, you really need to go to the ballpark. You really need to meet the player. You need to get his jerseys and get it, record all of it so you can feel comfortable with it. But here in the realm of sports cards, we can't do that. So all we can trust is the wording. Now, let's read what it says about the relic. The relic within this card has been authenticated under the auspices of the MLB Authentication Program. Enter the code from the hologram at www.mlb.com/authentication to learn more information on the relic featured in this card. Now, I would prefer to have it the way that Upper Deck used to do it. Okay? Instead of leaving you with a guessing game of going to a website. And not only that, but guess what? And in case they didn't get, the newsreel, stickers fall off of products. They just do, Yeah, maybe you can cross your fingers. Oh, I can look at this card and it's from the same game. But is it going to be from the same game? That's just it. All right, so here we are. So now we're going to dig into this before we purchase the card. I'm not going to purchase this card, but let's just pretend I am, Why not? I was looking at this card earlier this morning. Maybe I will purchase it. Okay, so now here I am at the website that they tell you to go to. And this website is supposed to be, this is it, boys. I mean, this is truth. But is it? Okay? So now the issue that we're going to run into is we're going to put in that first number that we got off of the ticket, okay? All right, so this is where it gets really, really confusing. Okay. So we know that it says this is a swatch of a game used jersey, okay? So immediately I went ding ding ding, what's going on here? Well, the date is November 21st, 2024, and this is the Topps authentication, okay? So is this the point when Topps cut up the jersey? We don't know. They don't explain anything to us. All we have is an event that says Topps authentication, and we have a date, November 21st, 2024. But we also have this additional information. Originally authenticated with hologram PX159118, validation code DCH. Okay. So we have to go back and we have to enter in that. All right. So let's enter in that information. PX 159118. There it is. And then we got to put in that validation code. And then we're going to click authenticate. All right. So it says jersey. Player name Fernando Tatis Jr., number 23, color brown, type road. Okay, gotcha. Event, San Diego Padres at Philadelphia Phillies. All right. It'd be nice to have it on the back of the card. They should have all of this on the back of the card. But why do you think they're not putting on the back of the card with the signature of the president of Topps? Think about it. Because it would be a more legally binding agreement. Okay. Date, June 18th, 2024. Additional information, San Diego Padres. All right. So this is what we're supposed to take from that swatch. Is it came from, I guess, June 18th, 2024 in a game of the San Diego Padres versus the Philadelphia Phillies. Okay. And it's a road jersey. All right. But these guys are great with the lawyers. And why are they great with the lawyers? Well, guess what? This is an authentication program. This is not a certificate of authenticity. So let's read what it says here. Hologram information. Now, I don't know why they have to use law enforcement officers, but apparently they feel comfortable using law enforcement officers. It doesn't make any sense to me. But anyway, off-duty law enforcement officers working as independent contractors are assigned by Authenticators Incorporated to authenticate autographs and game-used memorabilia at every Major League Baseball game. Only those items that an authenticator actually witnesses being signed or used in the game may be eligible for authentication under the MLB authentication program. Once witnessed, authenticated items receive a tamper-proof hologram created by OPSEC US with the unique alphanumeric combination to easily identify their authenticity. It sounds great, but remember, this is not an agreement. This is not a certificate. This is simply a website. Unique two-letter hologram prefix, unique serial number for each item when combined with prefix allows collectors to cross-reference product against the database on MLB.com. Validation code containing 3 randomized letters. QR code containing hologram prefix and unique serial number. Major League Baseball silhouetted batter logo indicates item as part of the Major League Baseball authentication program. Okay? And they have some more information here. The Major League Baseball authentication program is the most comprehensive league-wide memorabilia authentication initiative in professional sports. Since its launch in 2001, it has become the industry standard for autograph and game-used memorabilia authentication. Designed to distinguish officially authenticated MLB memorabilia from other items in the market, the program offers an objective third-party authentication system that guarantees genuine memorabilia for all MLB fans. Now, it's a system that guarantees. But here's the thing, is if you tried to take a company to court using this is a very, very gray worded system. That's not an agreement. That's not a certificate. What they've done is they've created something that makes it really, really tough for a collector to sue a company with. And if you're wondering, oh, but this is such a great system. No, this is more of a system that's meant to cover their butts in case something happened with like a patch or something. Okay. So I'll just keep reading here. Major League Baseball Properties schedules third-party authenticators from Authenticators Incorporated for every MLB game. Only those items that an authenticator actually witnesses being signed or used in a game may be eligible for authentication under the MLB authentication program. Once witnessed, items receive a tamper-proof hologram created by HOPSEC US with a unique alphanumeric combination to easily identify its authenticity, which honestly, it's not that easy. We were given one number and we had to enter in another number, You saw that with the Fernando Tatis patch. Authenticated items are offered to key retail partners of Major League Baseball Properties or on MLB.com. Fans can easily distinguish officially authenticated MLB memorabilia from other items by locating the official authentication hologram. Yeah, we get that. Once fans receive their authenticated piece of memorabilia, they can trace the unique serial number on the authentication database located on MLB.com. This convenient reference database enables fans to easily identify all of the details surrounding their new item. Since its inception in 2001, the Major League Baseball Authentication Program is responsible for authenticating over 6 million items, allowing fans to ensure their memorabilia is a 100% genuine piece of their favorite pastime. It's easy to get the real goods. Just check for the official seal of authentication. So they're giving you a lot of fluffy words here. And they like to even throw insure, like you're getting insurance. You're not getting any insurance on this. You're just getting a sticker on a piece of material. Now, they've given a lot of wording on why you should, feel comfortable with the sticker. Because we have, like they say, off-duty law enforcement officers working as independent contractors assigned by Authenticators Incorporated. Well, that's great. But, when you look at, let's go back and look at the Fernando Tatis Jr. card. I mean, it's a nice looking card, isn't it? It has a nice little sticker. We have a nice little patch. But there's really no insurance. There is no guarantee, that actual material is what he was wearing. That's just it. We have a sticker that says it, but we don't have any legal guarantee. We have a website that says that we have off-duty law enforcement officers acting as contractors for the most part, viewing this stuff. But we don't really have anything beyond that. And that is why I almost feel like I just wish that patches would stop being put into cards. Because legally, the corporations have set up a company that makes it really, really hard for them to hold their feet to the fire, I should say. If you went bat to bat with Topps and said, the reality is I came to find the truth out about my patch from the player himself, that this is not a legitimate patch. He wasn't, this and that. If you could prove it that it's not a legitimate patch, you're still going to have a lot of problems with these cards. So then we come to another issue. And that has to do with a certificate of authenticity, authentication, whatever. And then you really begin to understand the patch gimmick. It's when you really begin to see through the the gray areas of legal quicksand. All right. A certificate of authenticity in general is not inherently a legally binding agreement. So, even if you have a certificate of authenticity, a COA, like it says, it's not a legally binding agreement. So, we have all these systems that are not legally binding agreements that make you feel comfortable. And I'm trying to let you know, the sticker makes you feel comfortable, but it's not a legally binding agreement. And the companies know this. While it can provide evidence of a product's authenticity, its enforceability depends on the specific content and circumstances of the agreement. Here's a more detailed explanation. Certificates of authenticity typically state that a product is genuine, but they don't create a legal obligation in and of themselves. If a certificate is part of a larger agreement, example, a contract for sale of a rare item, it could become a legally binding part of that agreement. For example, if a sale is contingent on the item being authentic and the certificate proves otherwise, the buyer might have a legal basis to claim a breach of contract. And think about the 2004 Upper Deck card. You have the president of Upper Deck legally, signing on the back that, guess what? This was done at, a 2004 rookie event, okay, where Eli Manning wore it. That is what I would expect from Topps, Panini. We saw what Panini's giving you. They're just going out. Obviously, they hired the lawyers. We're just going to throw garbage at you. Why? And probably, to save themselves from any possible, legal issues. Certificates of authenticity are often used to verify the authenticity of goods, especially in cases like art sales or luxury items. They are also used to verify the authenticity of official documents for use in other countries, such as apostilles and authentication certificates from the U.S. Department of State. So, and then here's the thing. Notarization and legal binding. I'm sure you know what a notary public seal is by now, okay? So I'm just going to read this. A notary public seal and signature on a document can add a layer of credibility, but it doesn't automatically make the document legally binding. The document's enforceability still depends on its content and the applicable laws. Yes. So if you really want to start making these, memorabilia patches, like truthful and honest, let's face it, you likely need a notary, like a notary public seal. You have to get it notarized. So that's just it about these cards, is if you really want to get, like these memorabilia patches legally legitimate, you would have to get a notary public seal between the company and the player. And I know that sounds crazy. Could you imagine? But having a notary public seal on a sports card with a patch and the legitimate, auto signed by the player, which it would likely have to be hard signed, and then something to do with the president of the company. And so that's what I mean is, if you really want real patches that are like guaranteed legally binding, that you feel like you have something legitimate, and they'd have to make the card so, how they make these patch cards, they're so easy, you just pop them open, you just rip the patch out, throw some other patch in. They'd have to create a card that is like, you just can't do that anymore, I mean, it's like they have to put a coin around it, and that's just it about when you get into the nuts and bolts of memorabilia cards, is if you really want truthfulness and honesty, you have to do things, like notarize, like have players like sign to make it legally, binding that you are getting what you are supposed to be getting. And so all of these services, it's just a service. It's not a legally binding agreement. Back to, the way that I like to collect. Why do I like a full jersey that's signed? Well, it's a lot better than all the gamesmanship that comes with sports cards and memorabilia. Websites that are supposedly set up so you can enter in numbers and feel comfortable about your memorabilia. It's just not good enough. And even if you got into autos, to an extent, could you take a company to court and try and sue them, for giving you a fake auto? How are you going to prove it? And that's just it. There's so many gray areas that are coming out of these companies so that they don't get sued for gaming the system, for giving you garbage that's supposed to be legitimate memorabilia. They have set it up. They have lawyers that do it. And when you start to really dig into it, you begin to realize, what is going on? What am I doing? Well, you're crossing your fingers. Everyone's crossing their fingers at this point because they're buying stuff that legally there's just a lot of gray areas around of if it's verifiably provable to be, legitimate product that's been legitimately worn by a player, or even a sticker like the Lionel Messi stickers that were signed by his brother. And that comes with, once again, all of these gray areas. I mean, really, if you want sports cards to become truly legitimate, well, the reality is the law, and there has to be a lot more legalese involved in it. And that's just it. And then, with all the legalese involved in it, could you imagine always getting lawyers involved for memorabilia, always getting lawyers involved for autographs? It would just cost a fortune. I mean, you'd be looking at something and going, man, why do I have to pay so much? Well, the attorney's fees and all this, we had to get it notarized, this and that, to make the memorabilia legitimate between the player and the company and the MLB, and that is not happening. So to an extent, our current state of sports cards are kind of let's just blow smoke up people's what. Why? Well, because legally there's a lot of gray areas to go with it. Why not? But the thing about it is I feel like if you're a collector, if you stick with products that are typically more legitimate than others, like say you like patches, I would more than likely stick with the early Upper Deck patches, or maybe stick with Upper Deck patches in general for memorabilia, because they really do try their best to give you somewhat of a COA. Sometimes, I've read some of the Upper Decks, and it's more generalized, like some of them say it was worn by the player during the season. It doesn't say an actual game, And so Upper Deck could do a better job there, but, those early 2000s Upper Deck cards, they did them right, for the most part. Upper Deck still, for the most part, does their memorabilia right. But still, if you wanted to sue them, good luck, because there's still just a ton of gray area. To the point to where you begin to ask yourselves, like I'm asking myself, what's the point of memorabilia cards? If they're just in such a legally gray area to where you could just, like the Panini card, that we went over. Why even put fabric in a card when it's just fabric? I mean, it's not even been worn by the player. It's not anything related to the player, but why put in his rookie card if this if that's what it is. And I'm sure the lawyers at Panini went, yeah, that's probably what a lot of these other companies are doing too. So maybe Panini's just being more honest about it. So anyway, it would be nice if we could get more legitimate memorabilia in a better program with a more legally binding certificate of authenticity that a collector could take to a court of law and, worse for worse, sue a company for giving them something bad, They're not doing that. And the reason why is because they don't want to get sued. So even if you like had the best court case imaginable, say you have this some Topps card or Upper Deck card, and it says this, you went to the MLB authenticity program, it says this, and then you found out somehow, some way that the player never even wore it, I'm guessing that you still couldn't even sue the company at this point, just by the grayness of the legalese involved in the authenticity program at the MLB. And there's other authenticity programs out there. So are we all just getting gamed? Are we all just getting smoke blown up or what for memorabilia? I'm going to put it out there. I think we are. I believe we are. If you really want to get into it, man, you have to really do your homework. Anyway, if you have any different opinions on this subject, leave some comments. Thank you to all my subscribers. Always like to thank my subscribers and my viewers as well. If you're a viewer and you're not subscribed, it's 100% free. And all I have to do is click the button, and I can continue to improve the channel, and I won't have to work for free for Google and YouTube forever. Anyway, I'm out of here. Bye.